culture of that at SCAD. And I didn't know too much about it, but I had some friends who kind of like my friend Jude, by the way, like the guy who did the animation thing for me. He had class at the animation building, and there was kind of like a bad culture of like no sleep, and you know, it's like this whole thing. It's kind of at SCAD in general. There's a whole culture of like sleep is like for the weak. Sleep is like
interesting,
soft. Like you're not working hard enough. If you have time to sleep, like
bro,
you're not hustling like
dude,
that.
I don't do schoolwork past it like 5, 6. Like you're not gonna see me at my.
Yeah, but Parsa, look at your fucking transcript, buddy. It's not working out too well for you.
You can't afford to do that a lot of times with like art stuff, especially with like animation and stuff like that, because it takes a lot of time for stuff to render, different things like that. And yeah, you go to class and be like, oh, I only got 5 hours of sleep last night. Someone else is like 5 hours, I only got 2. And then someone else is like, I didn't even sleep, I'm still up. I've been working this whole time. It's like such a bad thing, and it's kind of almost encouraged by some of the like professors. It's kind of become a problem. I think that they're trying to like cut that out now, but
so
definitely
is it pretty
society
competitive environment, like the entire school? I mean, I can imagine since it's probably literally a competitive, like, you know, all these fields are very competitive, and like, you
a
know,
bunch of top tier
it's super
art kids.
competitive, and it's like a bunch of really good, talented art kids who are all trying to be the best in their class and stuff like that. It's like, think about it like a team, like everyone's trying to be a starter, but there's only so many spots. It's the same thing, really.
It's such a hard balance to drive where, like we talked about, you know, we don't want to like axe kids' creativity as they're growing up through like all this work ethic stuff. But then again, like the actual industries, like the creative industry is a very selective thing. You know, only the best scum rises to the top. I shouldn't say that. That's the wrong analogy. Only the best rises to the top. And so like you have to balance like not prematurely killing the creativity of like up and coming people, but also not like especially in an intermediate sense, like SCAD, you need to like create an environment that makes them feel the urgency of the industry, but doesn't like doesn't cause them to stay up like 72 hours.
With like having those due dates and stuff, they're trying to train you to become a professional creative. You know,
okay, it's not that bad seeing it in that light.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
I definitely understand the necessity for it,
because if you're working as like some type of visual designer, or like you're like a painter, or you're doing animation, you're gonna have clients and projects that are due by certain dates. Yeah. And so you have to finish it, and you're not always gonna get like a month or 2 to work on it. Sometimes it's gonna be like you have to finish fast, or else you're not gonna like get your money, and you know. Yeah. So you got to do what you got to do.
You're not gonna have a job.
You got to be professional.
That is the biggest question with any art, anything anybody creates. I mean, you kind of have to ask, like, is it gonna feed you? Is it gonna put food on the table?
Yeah, and you got to learn how to be like creative on demand, like that, and be good on demand.
Yeah, and
if you can't just like freestyle, like pull it out of nowhere, you have to put in other strategies to balance that.
Yeah, and maybe it's like kind of cold for me to say, but like I guess like the whole process of kids, you know, failing out of or like leaving schools like that, or like having their creative process you know, stopped, you know, in certain cases maybe it's like it's necessary that, you know, like you have to differentiate who can keep up with like putting their creativity on a schedule, and who, you know, while having talent isn't able to put in like a work ethic that is sustainable.
Yeah,
there's a sweet spot in prosperity that where talent and work like meet each other.
Yeah.
And, like, you just gotta do it, man.
And you have to have a certain amount of professionalism too, because like you could be a fantastic artist, but if you're on a thing like that where you get hired, you have a due date, you have to be able to finish it at a certain point. And there's artists who maybe are like insanely talented, but they need like a lot of time or something like that. Yeah. And they just have to do it a different way. You know, they have to figure out a different way to do that as a job. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think especially for people like artists doing stuff, like whether it's graphic designers, animators, or just honestly, I mean, just painters and stuff like that. Like the industry of like, this company wants a sign made, this company wants a logo made, is like very cutthroat. Like those, like the head of marketing of like some company doesn't care that you're like some like right out of college, like graduate, like never really like had a deadline in your life. Like they're gonna tell you like get us this in 20 days or you don't get paid.
It's business, and it might and what I think a lot of kids have a hard time grasping is that it's a business. It's it might be your creative stuff and you might put emotion into it and have like struggles that have turned into this art and it's why you do this or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yo, like this is business still.
Yeah.
Like there's
And
no like
a big thing that like people like of younger age kind of undervalue is like the actual experience of like you need experience to like be professional. Like you need to like know what field you're stepping into rather. Like
Yeah.
I know like all jobs like they want experience and that's kind of right. But like a lot of people they're like, oh, I don't need experience. Like I don't need pre-hand like experience in this field to just get in and like start taking orders for my like whatever I need.
what you do and it shows because like you're saying about kids at SCAD, a lot of kids drop out because they're failing out. A lot of kids can't handle it. And it's because you need that experience and you think like a lot of people will think that they don't. You get to a place like that where you have solid deadlines, you have to work, you have a lot of shit that's due.
Yeah.
Not everyone can hang with that, and that's one of the biggest things that you need to be able to be ready for an actual job, and that's why you do need that experience.
I feel like a lot of people go into a school like SCAD and think that they're gonna come out a banging artist.
Yeah, and it's really funny. Like freshman year, I noticed like early, it's so funny. All the new kids think that they're like Kanye West. Everyone thinks that
I was gonna say that. I don't want.
Oh, I can just picture a bunch of
Everyone's
18-year-olds
like,
who
I
think
am
they're
the
just
best artist ever of all time. My ideas are 2,000 years ahead in the future. Everyone thinks that they're like the most like genius artist ever.
They're
And
about
you
to be
just
the
see
next.
one by one, each one of them get smacked down by reality
Yeah.
of how tough it really is to do that.
That's a sad reality. But
that's the thing. It's a sad reality, but I guess in some ways it's a necessary reality.